6:02, the call of the meeting to order. And I'm going to just read the introduction from the Commonwealth first. This open meeting of the Library Building Committee is being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020 due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings at a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature, could feature public comment. So we are convening by Zoom as posted on the town's website. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Let's see. I, the chair, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Please try to remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. So we will, first I'd like to do a roll call to make sure everybody can be heard. So we will start by roll call. Beth.
Here.
Lisa.
Here.
Julie.
Here.
Irene.
Here.
John. Can't hear you, John.
Here. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
No?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. I was not getting the button.
Doreen, did I say you yet? No.
Nope, but I'm here.
Okay, great. All right. And welcome everybody else. Evan, welcome.
I'm here too, Mary. Prabhu.
Oh, I'm sorry. Missed you. All right. Let me write everybody down. All right. We want to start with the minutes, Lisa. You submitted those to everybody at the end of our meeting and then again today. I hope everybody had a chance. We want to vote on those. Somebody want a second? Or somebody want to make a motion and then second?
Move to accept minutes.
Second.
Great. Okay, vote by roll call. Beth,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Prabhu,
I was not in that meeting.
okay.
Present.
Irene,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
okay, I think I got everybody. And Mary,
And Doreen, aye.
Doreen,
It's okay.
all right, I wasn't prepared with everybody's names. Okay, great. So bills will go straight to you, Andy.
Fantastic. All right, good evening, everybody. We've got a complement of bills. We've got, I will mention, I did send out the requisition from CTA just a little while before this meeting. That came separately from my email yesterday. And that requisition does include the change order that was with yesterday's invoices. So having said that, we'll go through the invoices. The first one is for Biblioteca. This is for some additional RFID, an additional RFID workstation. And this one is in the amount of $3,680.
I make a motion that we pay Biblioteca in the amount of $3,680, but I have a question after somebody seconds it.
Second.
I'll second.
Too late.
Go ahead, Lisa.
My question is this a purchase order or a bill?
Well, it's both. So there's a bit, there's what I sent out, I guess, is the PO, but there is a bill for it. Yes. So,
Awesome. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Vote by roll call, Beth? Lisa?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Prabhu?
Aye.
Irene?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Doreen?
Aye.
Mary, aye. Motion's carried.
great. Thank you. The next one is for the 3D printer. This particular model was suggested to us as one of the more user-friendly ones that's good in a public setting. And so this one comes in at $1,523.09. This was part of our FF&E budget. So it's something that we had planned for.
I make a motion, we pay Fargo additive manufacturing equipment in the amount of $1,523.09.
Second.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, vote by roll call, Beth?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Prabhu?
Aye.
Irene?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Doreen?
Aye.
Mary, aye. Motion's carried. Next, Andy?
Awesome. Next one up is for Masscore. So these are the correctional folks that built our seat cushions for all the benches, all the built-ins. There were a couple of other, just as a sort of in passing, there were a couple of other pieces to this. We did buy the fabric separately, and we bought the Velcro, 5-inch wide Velcro separately. So we've already purchased those things. This is for the cushions and the manufacturing of them. So this is for all the built-in benches for the cushions, and the total is $2,887.29.
I make a motion, we pay Masscore in the amount of $2,887.29.
Second.
Any questions before we vote?
I have a question.
Sure.
So two of the cushions are too short. The one of the ones in the large print and new book room, there's a gap of a couple inches on each side. It doesn't fill the whole bench like all the other ones do. And then in the group study with the 4 seats, there's 2 cushions, but then there's a gap of 1.5 to 2 feet of just the wood bench. And I don't know if it was designed that way or if it was incorrectly measured, spec'd, and created. So what are we doing about discrepancies if they were not made actually to order, or they had the wrong measurements, or? And whose job is it to do that follow-up?
Andy, do you have the dimensions of the layout that they went from initially? I can, if that exists, I could take it from there and chase it down.
I don't think I ever saw like actual shop drawings for this, Mark. I know that they had them. I know they came out to measure them, so that you know, something must have happened. So yeah, I don't have that, but Ron, looks like Ron has his hand up.
I have the drawings, the sketches that Ken did that I'm actually looking for them now. I don't see them on my display. I have them from Ken, and I will send them to you, Mark.
Okay.
The copy to Beth.
Let's take another look Wednesday. We looked at our last meeting when we did our walkthrough and noted that they were the wrong size. And I see on the invoice, it does have all the dimensions. But, you know, someone's got to grab a tape measure. And if it was designed that way, fine. But the large print one, it's definitely short and none of the rest are. And it could be that, yes, we did want a gap in the meeting room, but I'm just.
All right, and I'll bring the dimensions that Ken, the sketches that Ken did.
Okay.
And do we want to pay it if it's not right, or only pay a portion of it for the ones we're happy with?
Yeah, that's my question as well.
Yeah.
I would think we don't pay it.
I mean, I
Well,
can
you
tell you
could
the
approve it.
two room numbers that are the issue.
For the sake of 2 days, you could approve it pending verification Wednesday. And then Ron and I can look at it, and if they made it to the dimensions and for whatever reason the dimensions are wrong, then it's not their fault. If they didn't make it to the dimensions, then we can hold the invoice and double back with the committee.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'll certainly hold off on that one until I hear back from the team, just to make sure. And Mark, I have your contact info of the person that we've been working with, so I can make sure you get that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Regardless of if it's an error or not, do they need to be remade, Beth? And does that mean that we have to go buy more fabric because they've already cut fabric that you had?
Yeah. So all but these two are beautiful, a perfect fit, and they're great. I don't know. You could, for the one that's really too short in the group study room, you would just need a piece to fit in.
Mhm.
And then it's just possibly the large print and new book room 201 that might need to be remade because it's too short. Could also cut that one down and put that in the gap
Mhm.
for the group study, save some money there. Yeah, and then there's a question of, will we be able to find the same fabric, which is gorgeous fabric.
Right, that would be my concern.
Yeah, they look really great.
All right, well, it sounds like you can review those on Wednesday, and then we'll have a plan to go forward.
Okay, does somebody want to make a motion saying that it's pending the correct rooms, or?
I'll make a motion that we pay Masscore's invoice for $2,887.29 pending review at the Wednesday, October 6th meeting to confirm we got what we ordered.
Somebody want to second?
Second.
All right, vote by roll call. Beth?
Aye.
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Prabu?
Aye.
Irene?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Doreen?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Mary? Aye. So the motion carried. Next, Andy?
Next up is for our movers. So this is for William B. Meyer. This is the balance of the move. So that is $21,130.72.
I make a motion, we pay William B. Mayer in the amount of $21,130.72.
I'll second.
Any questions?
Just one quick question. Beth, your impressions of this mover, you good?
Yeah, the guy who was in charge was really great. He had trouble getting workers, but you know, they did everything that they could do in terms of getting things in place. There's still like one or two dings or I think actually the issues that I have are furniture installers with like paint chips and that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I thought
we have some video games that went missing and we're just gonna assume that was not them. There's only 3.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I thought they were good to work with. They were very flexible. They communicated well. I thought there was a good experience. Okay.
Any other
Does
questions?
does that represent half the move or is that the full cost? I'm just curious what the total cost of the move was.
That's the balance, Doug. So, and I believe they split that 50-50. I don't recall, but that's the balance. That's what's left. Yeah.
Yep.
Vote by roll call. Beth?
Did someone make a motion to pay it? Yeah. Yes, then. Yes. Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Prabu?
Aye.
Irene?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Doreen?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Mary? Aye. Declare the motion carried. Next?
Next up is for Paul Moriarty and Associates, PJMA. So they're the town's independent code reviewer. So this was for fire and life safety code review as well as the accessibility review. So there's still one more piece to come after this. When all the compliance issues have been completed, Deb Ryan will come back out and do one more review just to make sure everything's been closed out. So, but this is for the 2 reviews that happened near the end of the project. So there was a fire and life safety review and the ADA accessibility review. So the total here is $2,748 even.
I make a motion, we pay Paul J. Moriarty in the amount of $2,748 even.
second,
Any questions?
I have a question. I don't know if this is the right place to bring it up. But the fact that there wasn't a generator as a part of this project, would that not fit into this life safety, that there's not a generator? Or where will this fit in? Will we have a discussion about this at some point during this meeting?
Maybe we should do that under new business. Just my suggestion. Has a little life of its own.
Okay. That's it.
Any other questions? Vote by roll call. Beth?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Prabhu?
Aye.
Irene?
aye,
John?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Mary, aye. Declare the motion carried. Andy?
All right, this next one is through Amazon. There's the next two actually are for printers. Again, these were part of the IT budget. So they were something we were planned for. This first one, again, through Amazon is for $1,049.93 for, it looks like five printers.
I make a motion, we pay Amazon the amount of $1,049.93 for printers.
Second.
I'll second,
Any questions? Vote by roll call. Beth?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Irene?
aye,
John?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Mary, aye. Motion's carried. Next.
Aye.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Did I not say you again, Prabhu? It's not that.
Okay. It's that day. It's that day.
All right, this next one, again, another printer. This is a printer scanner copier. This is through Staples, and the amount was for $839.97.
I make a motion, we pay Staples $839.97.
Second.
Any questions? Prabhu?
Aye. Aye.
Beth?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Irene?
aye,
John?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Mary, aye. Declare the motion carried. Next.
All right, next is for Tucker Library Interiors. So this is the balance of the furniture, except for a couple of things that we have not yet received. So there's a Graseco sensory boards that haven't come in yet, and the staff lounge sofa and chair have not been received yet either. So this is those two items deleted from the balance of their invoice. And so this one is for $163,008.45.
I make a motion to pay Tucker Library Interiors $163,008.45.
Second.
second,
Any questions?
I have one. I know Beth has mentioned some errors on the stacks, like the end of the stacks were supposed to have slots. Was that stuff that was from Tucker? It was. Okay.
This was, I asked for it, no one wrote it down and it didn't happen.
I see.
So it would be
So
an
it wasn't
addition-
an error from Tucker's perspective.
No, no.
Okay.
And they could quote us the expense of just adding the, an additional end panel with slats, but it would cost us. So at some point that could be a capital campaign discussion.
Yep. Okay.
Beth,
We are still
you
waiting.
mentioned, Beth, you mentioned earlier something about possible damage from furniture installers. Would that be Tucker, or was somebody else installing the stuff once it arrived?
Tucker and whoever they hired, like they put in a bookcase in the children's room and scrapes against the teal paint. Now there's a paint needs to be touched up.
Okay, Can we, is there some way we can recoup this from them?
Someone on the construction team should walk
Absolutely.
around and note all that damage and then attempt to, yes, get them to pay for it to reduce the bill.
Mark, how does that
Okay.
get accomplished?
If there's money still left, which Andy mentioned there are for items that haven't been delivered, so before that last invoice is paid, we'll have to reconcile it with, if we have to pay the painter, for instance, 4 hours to go around and touch up, we can reconcile that last invoice.
Yeah, we've got
Okay.
over $11,000 still sitting here, which is a fair amount. So that should
Right.
be enough.
Okay, so
enough
let's make sure we make a note of that so that when that bill comes, up, we'll know to do this.
And that goes under you, Mark? You would be following on
Yep,
that?
that's fine.
Okay, terrific. All right, any other questions? Did we had it seconded, right?
Yes.
Roll call Beth,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Abu,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
John,
I,
Doreen.
Oh,
Doreen
aye.
or Irene?
I know. I think I said aye for Irene.
I think you're right. Is that okay?
Aye for Irene.
An aye for Doreen.
And Doug,
A guy.
Mary, I. Okay, that motion is carried. Next.
All right, one more. This one's for our licensed site professional for Weston and Sampson. We're getting near the end of this one, fortunately. The total for this one is $888.51. Again, they finished their major report, closed out the DEP file, et cetera. So this is sort of the end of their billings.
So I'm going to make a motion, but I have a question. I make a motion that we pay Weston Sampson $888.51.
I'll second.
Okay, Lisa.
So last month, Andy, I think we talked about, or maybe the month before, they had like a $22,000 invoice and you were going to check with them to see if that was the full amount or the right amount. Was that in the minutes I just sent out?
Okay, I'll look up. I'm pretty sure when I did the cost report that we weren't done with them. Let me just see quick.
Maybe I'm getting them confused.
Yeah,
This is like the gift that never stops giving.
Yeah, it was $21,897 and we voted to pending approval by Andy. Time for completion reports, finalization of administrative work. We had one member vote no, and then the rest of us voted yes, but it said pending approval by Andy. So is this above and beyond that 21,000, I guess?
no. It's not. Let me just see, where's my. Just checking real quick.
Actually, according to this invoice, it would be because we have $21,897.45 outstanding waiting to be paid from August 17th, plus this invoice for $888.51.
Yeah, and I'm showing that we still have about $9,000 still to go on their overall invoice. This came out in 3 pieces. Remember, there was an original and then 2 addenda. So I can go back and check again to see if just to have them give us an update in terms of where we are completely. I know that their final report has been submitted. The DEP file has been closed. So I believe that all their work was completed in September. That was when the last piece of this got finished just a few weeks ago.
Andy, what was the original contract with them? What was that amount?
Oh. Hang on. I don't have it right in front of me. I just have the total.
Or what was the total that we ended up approving? So, I
Two-
mean, all of these are just invoices that are just chipping away at that, paying
Correct.
off that total.
That is correct. Yeah, I mean, this thing
Right.
basically.
So none of these are in addition.
No, they're not outside of, they're not out of what we have for agreements, right? So we've got 3 agreements that total $268,155. And these are all within that. However, I will certainly go back and have them I'll just settle up with their accounting department just to make sure we know exactly where we are. I can just sort of make sure that what I've got recorded and what they've got recorded are the same. And then we can just make sure that we've got this thing lined up.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Ready to vote? Roll call. Beth,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Prabu,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Doreen,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Mary, aye. Clear that motion carried. All done with those?
Those are all the normal invoices. Yes, we still have the change order. It's actually change order number 22 apparently. And CTA's requisition that includes that as well. So if you'd like, we can move to the change order.
Yes.
So I'll just give everybody sort of the quick narrative of what this is comprised of. There are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 individual change orders. One of them is a credit for almost $10,000, which is always nice. And a few of these, well, I'll just walk through them. So PCO 37 third revision is a settlement with Dorenzo. There was some discrepancy, some discussion, a lot of discussion around some underground electrical work at the very beginning of the project that wasn't shown in the drawings. The work had to get done. We had them go forward. And so at the end of the day, we settled out with Dorenzo, balanced out a few things. And so this one is for $12,247.84. So that we actually had sort of an overall discussion at the end of the project with them, which is, I mean, Mark can elaborate if you'd like. There were some other things that they were doing. So we kind of balanced some things out, did a little horse trading and kind of brought this number down to where we thought it should have been. The next one, PCO 40, the second revision, was sort of similar. So there was an issue of who owned the substrate board on the roof. The roofers claimed that they didn't own it, even though it was part of it was clearly to us was part of the roofing spec, but it wasn't in the right spec, whatever. So there was some disagreement about who owned it. As sometimes happens, they went forward sort of under protest, did the work. We recorded the amount of work that it took. And then at the end of the day, we did a little, again, sort of sat down and came up with a settlement with Capeway Roofing for $20,000 and $20,400. Again, it was part of the roof system that needed to happen. Somebody needed to do it, and we needed to pay for it. So it was just one of these things that wasn't quite captured correctly somewhere, but the roofer, they were the right people to do the work anyways. PCO 85 is for dormer roof hips. This came out of an RFI. Just a question about a little design element, how we dealt with the dormer roofs and what that detail looked like. The answer to that RFI that was this ASI 28, and that generated a little bit of cost in the value of $6,475.35. So again, it was one of those just sort of massaging things as we went along, answering questions, and sometimes that was a credit, and sometimes it was an ad. In this case, it was a small ad. PCO 103 is a credit of $9,886.35 for some sign types that were not used. So there were a number of signs within the building that we just didn't pull the trigger on. Some things I think some of them were donor signs, some things like that we're going to do later. The sign order had to get done so that we could get it installed before the building opened. And so some of these things were going to take longer to do. We just decided not to do because we couldn't get them done in time. So there were a variety of those things that came up. And so the credit overall for those things was almost $10,000. The next few of these, PCO 104 and 105, there's some, basically some wiring for some mechanical items in the building that were required by the fire marshal. So that there were additional late in the project that had to get done. For instance, there was emergency power shut off in the kitchen. Normally, most of us have seen emergency gas shut off, but not emergency power as well. And so that added a couple of PCOs here, one for $3,485.58, and the other one for $1,325.33. So that was, again, sort of by the jurisdictional sort of requirement. We didn't have a choice in that. When the fire chief says you got to have it, you got to have it. Power to the ATC controller, I think that's in a similar vein. That was something that came up that we had to, there was a jurisdictional thing that had to get added in. That was $754.60. PCO 110 was detention pond revisions. So this one we had noticed for the life of the project, really, since that detention pond had been built, that it really wasn't, there was always some standing water in there. There was always like 4 to 6 inches of standing water. Didn't think that was a good idea to have standing water there for mosquitoes and other reasons. So we had, again, a discussion with the civil engineer, with the site contractor, Dorenzo, and came up with a plan to kind of basically for costs. I mean, they given the amount of money they made on this project, they were pretty reasonable, I think, about getting this work done. They had to go back in there with a couple of pieces of heavy equipment, regrade the whole bottom of the thing, put down some perforated pipe in the middle after regrading it, and then fill it back in with better material as well as some crushed stone. So that whole thing came in at just under $17,000. And even though there's on really heavy rain days, there's a little bit of water in there, it is draining correctly. And we're not going to have the same kind of issue that we had before. So this is one of those things we had to spend a little money to make this really be corrected. And I think mostly because of the existing material in that area wasn't replaced like the rest of the site. And so it was very filled with clay and just not very good at getting rid of water. The next one, PCO 111, is for additional exit signs and lighting required by the fire marshal. So this one falls into the other category, like some of the other ones did when they do their final walkthrough. This is a very normal and aggravating part of finishing up a building, where the fire marshal comes through and says, I need an exit sign here, I need an emergency light here. And it's always a little bit more expensive because, of course, everything else is already done. So we had to add some of these devices, and the bill for that was $6,385.96. And the last one on this list is PCO 112, the electric vehicle charging stations. The data and electrical power lines weren't shown on the drawings, and so Griffin Electric, in their inimitable style, came back to us with a charge to actually install these 4 units, and the bill for that is $3,568.34. So total for all these change orders, adds, and credit is $61,688.41. The only good news I have for you is that we've been carrying this cost already. So in the last cost reports, as soon as I see these things on the horizon, I include them in the cost report. So our projected costs didn't go up by this amount this month because we've already been carrying them. So that is change order number 22.
I make a motion that we accept change order number 22 to DRA. Is that true?
No, CTA.
CTA, thank you. In the amount of $61,688.41.
Somebody
I'll
second.
second.
Thank you. Any other questions on this?
I have a question there. So Andy, does this include all the items that we know of? I'm also, where I'm coming from is I'm looking at the FF&E, and there were 4 items not yet purchased. Are those supposed to be potentially change orders, or are they already included, paid for?
Things that are in the FF&E are not going to be change orders. Those are things that we've already budgeted for. So that's not going to be a change order.
So that would be already part of the cost and the projected cost and everything, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thanks, Andy.
There are, however, let me see. I still am carrying 3 PCOs, and Mark and Ron, maybe you can tell me if I've missed something. So I had 3 PCOs in here, number 78 for overhead power reels, number 98 for credit for deleted wall graphic. That might be part of the sign thing. And then the window film and revised gate is PCO 101. Just wasn't sure if those are still sitting out there or where those are.
They are. And there's some other ones like the dehumidifier in the history. There's some recent ones that Paul from CTA, who is now the 3rd PM in the last 6 weeks, and I'll get into that later. So he's trying to get caught up. And so he has maybe, Ron, I don't know, maybe 4 open proposal requests.
Yeah.
And they're all end of project miscellaneous things that are still open. He's trying to get his hands around those things so we can finalize pricing, so we can get it in front of this committee. Nothing major, but there are items that, need to be addressed.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, he has the cabinet heater for vestibule at the existing library.
Yep.
The revisions to this stair gate, the sliding doors for the program rooms, and relocating the humidifier unit. Those are the 4 outstanding proposal requests that they need to respond to.
Yep.
So those 4 have not been factored in the projected cost? Rough idea how much
I
would
don't know if
that?
those are on your radar, Andy, or I
The
think
revised gate
some
is
of
in
them might
there,
have been.
right. The revised, so one of those 4 is in here already, probably.
Okay. And you know where I'm going with this, Andy, right? We got 45,000 left.
Right.
Is this
Right.
time that select board and wherever we need to get the money from, do we inform them? Are they aware of it? If we are going to, if we know that these 3 PCOs might tip it over?
I don't think these 3 PCLs will tip it over, but I think what the committee's going to be faced with is there are a number of items, whether they be FF&E, mostly are FF&E related, that have come up in either Beth's individual list or staff list or IT list or something that want to be pursued. And so, and if you took all of those, you'd go over that limit. So then you're gonna be faced with either prioritizing that list, or if you want to get everything on the list, figure out how you're going to pay for that balance. So what we're trying to do now at this end stage is we took that master list, which every few days is updated by staff. Somebody comes across something or an outlet doesn't work, or there's a, some issue, and it gets added to the list. Or a piece of equipment is requested or wanted. We update that list, send it to CTA, CTA reviews it, they pull out the items that they think are contractual items. And so far, we haven't had any disagreements. And we're focusing with them initially and foremost to get that list completed so that we can say CTA is out of the picture. Now we're left with this list And this is how much money we have. These are the items that are left on the list. Let's go about prioritizing it and going from there.
I just have a question on the detention pond.
Okay, go ahead.
It sounds like everything you mentioned was something that should have been done in the first place, right? I mean, if presumably they looked at the space and they knew what they had to dig a hole in and fill it in, it seems kind of odd that if they made a mistake, that we're having to put the bill for that.
And I think, as Andy mentioned, this detention basin was literally the only soils on the entire property that wasn't replaced. And when we had the issue initially with the soils, and we knew it was going to be so expensive to replace all those soils, we were trying to limit the amount of soils that we removed from the site. And had we at the beginning said, you know what, let's just remove everything, including this little piece of property that's where the detention basin is, there would have been that added cost to remove it, to replace it, and Weston and Sampson to test it. We opted to kind of roll the dice and hope for the best and say, let's just leave this little pocket alone. And functionally, aesthetically, everything worked. But as Andy mentioned, we right from the beginning, we had standing water, which long-term is not a healthy solution. So in the end, this change order, I think, was 17,000-ish versus, you know, financially would have cost much more to remove that soil, replace it, and test it, and so forth. So from a financial perspective, you might say we made the right call. From a general logistics, and you know, you might have that discussion of whether we should have just done everything at the same time.
Right. So Doug, just to put a fine point on that, so the pond was built correctly per the design, right? But the soil didn't allow the water to percolate through like it should, like it normally would, just because of the nature of the soil there. So that's really what ended up having us to. We could have left it like it was, and it would have been per plans and specs. It just, we would have had some standing water in there, which we didn't think was healthy.
Right.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, so we're gonna vote on that. Beth?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Rabu?
Aye.
Irene?
Aye.
Dawn?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And Mary, aye. Declare that motion carried.
All right. The last one I have for you is CTA's September requisition, which again includes that change order that you just approved. So I'll tell you the amount, and then I think, Mark, if you want to sort of walk everybody through sort of the high points of what this includes, that would be perfect. So again, this is CTA's September requisition for $404,225.12.
One more time, Andy, I'm sorry.
404,225.12.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So do I need to make a motion before we discuss it?
Sure.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I make a motion that we pay CTA the amount of $404,225.12.
I'll second.
Great, thank you. Discussion?
So I'll walk everybody through this. I think last month we talked about this to a certain extent, that we had this punch list in front of CTA. They were plugging away at it. They had some administrative turmoil inside the office, and the question was, is there enough money left, you know, for CTA to do the job? And at the time, they were still holding 5% retainage across the board. Usually, the certificate of substantial completion, which was issued back in July, that's usually the trigger to reduce retainage from 5 to 2.5%. And then you go from 2.5%, you put a dollar amount next to every change, or not change order, every punch list item that's left, and you go from 2.5% to whatever that dollar amount adds up to. So we're lagging behind, to the benefit of the town. We're lagging behind that reduction in retainage. So this is a reduction from 5 to 2.5%. And it still leaves far more money than is needed. If CTA ceased to exist tomorrow, there's plenty of money left to finish the punch list work. And so there was initially, they asked for a full retainage release. And I pushed back and said, no, we'd allow from 5 to 2.5, but no more. Paul from CTA was agreeable to that. And so that's what this reflects.
Does anybody have any questions on this? Okay, I'm gonna vote by roll call. Beth,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Babu,
Aye.
Irene.
Aye. And with that, I'm bowing out, guys. See you at the next meeting.
Okay,
Yeah,
Irene,
Rain.
John,
Aye.
Doreen,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Mary, aye. Declare the motion carried. All set, Andy?
That is all.
Mark, do you want to fill us in on what's going on with the punch lists and?
Yes, so I'll try to give you the condensed version, but stop or jump in if you have any questions. So I don't know if there is a condensed version, but so we're at the tail end of what was almost a perfect storm in a negative way. And I'll walk you through, as you know, the temporary library closed, moved to the new library. We were short of shelving. And so not all the circulation could be distributed and stored. So we ended up with shelving and boxes and stuff on the ground. That's a pain, but maybe manageable. At the same time, CTA's project manager left the company to go to a different company. Jump ahead a couple of weeks, Andy moved on because at that time, this project was supposed to have been wrapped up and that wasn't the case, but he moved on. And 2 weeks later, the executive project manager for CTA, he left the company for somebody else. So now you've got a third upper management level project manager coming in, owner of principal of a company coming in to try to pick up the pieces where CTA left off. In the meantime, I was trying to figure out, who Andy had been talking with and coordinating with, whether it was IT or phones or security or whatever. So I admittedly stumbled around for a couple of weeks until I found Evan, and Evan is the man. So as soon as I made that contact, things started happening. And Evan, I'll let you jump in to give people an update if you'd like. But the biggest things about getting the building open, there's the completion of punch list, yes, certainly, but only certain items on that punch list are physically needed to open the library. Outside of that, phones are needed, IT to a certain extent is needed, security is maybe not technically needed, but certainly wanted. And the completion of as much of the shelving and the circulation, distribution, and so forth is needed. So working on that final completion, and at the same time trying to double back with the building inspector. Grafton is unique in that the building inspector is tying the ADA compliance report into his issuance of a certificate of occupancy. And he seemed hesitant, and this is just a few hours old, emailing back with Evan and Ron, seems hesitant to issue a temporary certificate of occupancy, even if we can show him, for example, some exit signs. He wanted a handicap symbol on them. That's a special order, hasn't even been ordered yet from Griffin. It's going to take some time to get. It's an easy enough thing to do. We can verify that the order's been placed. And so I'm hoping that the building inspector will be agreeable if we show him the plan of what we're doing. But we're back to weekly meetings with Beth, Ron, Evan, myself, and Paul, who's the new PM from CTA, trying to finalize anything that's specifically required to open up the library. And at this moment, and Evan, this is maybe where you can jump in, having talked with the building inspector this afternoon, the phones were going to be wrapped up early this week. IT, I believe, we're past. The security is scheduled for I think the 21st of this month, which isn't ideal, but it's scheduled. And then we're left with some, if the building inspector digs his heels in with the ADA related items, we're left with, I believe, 3 things. One is when you come into the lobby, there's a hand motion sensor to open up the doors, and there's a bench that physically is in the way. Ron is looking at some radio signal devices that we know exist and we can get. In the meantime, we could take one of the benches out, which is a temporary fix, but it will resolve that issue. Number 2 are those light fixtures that I mentioned, and I don't know if a temporary decal or temporary signage or something will appease the building inspector while we order those. The third is a shower. We know there was an issue with the shower. It's not, the existence of that shower isn't a code requirement. The fact that it's there though, and was done, it doesn't meet code. So I don't know if we can just take that shower out of service until it's fixed. And then when it's fixed, it'll meet the code, meet ADA, everybody's happy, but that won't prevent the library from opening. And then there are a couple counters with sinks in them that have to be lowered. And so there's 3 or 4 items. I think a couple of those are easy. One may be harder. But Evan, maybe you can jump in, and having talked with the inspector, give us an update on where you think we stand.
Yeah, and before I get too far in, if there's children screaming in the background, I apologize. Seems to be some kind of a disagreement over which version of the Grinch we're watching right now. So bear with me on that. So I did speak with Mr. Berger this afternoon, kind of back and forth, mostly via text. We were both on an opposite meeting schedule. He is reluctant to issue anything that's going to open the building to the public while the ADA compliance is not met. And so I have another call with him in the morning to try to work through that hurdle. So hopefully I'm able to do that, like I said, tomorrow early, and we can at least get a TCO contingent upon, the closure of those 3 ADA items. We currently have a TCO, but it's employees only. And so we need to get that expanded. So don't have all the answers, but it really is only a few hours old. I think Mark is correct on that. Do you want me to go into other stuff, or do you want to keep going?
No, I mean, as far as the phones, IT, security, do you see any issues there as far as operational issues with the library?
No, so IT, we made a really good push over the last week. We got a lot of stuff rectified. I was really happy with that progress that we were able to make. We had a lot of issues with the phone system. A lot of the data drops were mislabeled. So we toned all of those out and figured out where exactly they go, and then made those connections in the back. The phone system, I believe, will be fully operational tomorrow. I was going back and forth all day between IT and the phone vendor, and I believe that our last hurdle is what we don't have to get to. We have SIP trunks, and we're going to spoof it. It's a whole bunch of stuff. So we're not going to wait till the port, because that'll take too long. So we're going to spoof it in the meantime, and we should be able to get all of that squared away. I was making the final connections just before this call with the IT vendor and the phone vendor. So now it looks like it's mostly firewall access and some other things through the PBX, which should help make that work. Other IT is the RFID gates at the original door to the library, the upper door.
Yeah.
CMD, our IT vendor, will be on site tomorrow to finish those connections. Which is basically just putting a plug on the end of the Cat6 that was already run. Should take them 5 minutes, but there'll actually be 2 staff on site to just continue on with what I've asked them to do and kind of mill around and clean up things that staff have that need to be taken care of. So that seemed to have been helpful. And as far as getting staff stuff worked out. And then the rest of it is, kind of taking things as they come with IT, at least things that pop up that we don't know. The maker space, we're going to need some help with, with them getting stuff connected. So, but otherwise, I think we're really close on all of that stuff. HVAC has their tie out. The security folks will have I think they already have their static IP.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of them actually pulling the trigger on their end, I think. So other than that, I think that's really it for those major kind of technological things.
Yeah, and I just want to say again, Evan's been a great help. He threw a bunch of bodies at it, not knowing specifically who was responsible for things, just to get it done, to move it off from dead center, and whether it was custodial help to move things around and coordinate and consolidate, or again, the IT and the phones and so forth. It's been a great help just in the last 10 days. And so we're very, very close just with the items we have left. So again, Ron, Evan, Beth, and myself are going to meet again Wednesday. And we'll be on the day after Evan's review tomorrow with the building inspector. Hopefully we can reach some sort of agreement. It's not unusual in my experience to have, an ADA consultant review and to have items that need to be addressed. It is unusual in my experience to have that hold up a certificate of occupancy versus like a temporary certificate pending the completion of those items. And you might have 30 days to complete those items or something like that. So hopefully we can have some resolution with that tomorrow.
Just while I have you, and I'm unmuted. So I am stuck at home quarantining. So I will not be on site for Wednesday. But if we can set up some kind of Zoom just so I could listen in and be able to direct anything that you guys need to get done,
Okay.
you, Beth, and Ron, I can certainly help push from here.
Look for an email, Evan, from myself via Procore, and there's a link. I did the meeting minutes this afternoon. There's a link on that for the call. So, and if you don't find it, whatever, just give me a shout.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yep. Lisa?
Thank you.
Hi, Evan. Thank you so much for jumping in and supporting this. I think that these ADA items, I think no one would disagree that they're important. But if this library was in another town and it would be able to be open, I would hope that we can rally to make this happen in Grafton. And I think the people of Grafton have waited a long time to get back into a library. And again, if it's a safety issue or whatever, but if this library was in any other town in Massachusetts and it can open, I think A, we need to make sure it happens in our library, and B, we need to reflect and make some changes on why that's the case too, separately. Thank you.
Doug?
I would just add, it seems like those items that were mentioned have existed at least for a month. So I don't know, is that just because Bob hasn't been 3 months? Is that just because the inspector didn't come in 3 months ago and identify this, or?
I think in part is internally, we knew of these issues. We knew they had to be addressed. We didn't know they were tied into the issuance of the certificate of occupancy. And so we've been pursuing them. And then in the middle of all this, CTA went through 3 different PMs. So we're trying to have them stand still long enough so we can say, here's a proposal for new exit fixtures. We need you to order them, or talk with Griffin, get a quote, review the quote, release the order, and so forth. And so that's been moving forward, albeit slowly, but it's been moving forward. And now all of a sudden there's an urgency because those items are now tied into the C of O.
And then also, Evan, will there be somebody, so staff will be at the library helping out just to get us over the finish line? Is there somebody that's going to be there every day, or are they just on call?
No, so my plan is to have William there starting on Wednesday. He's not going to live in the library, but he's going to be doing what I was doing, which is I was coming for a couple hours in the morning and a couple hours in the afternoon. So come in the morning, get stuff moving, come back in the afternoon, make sure stuff got done, that kind of stuff. And he'll be in constant contact with me since I'm stuck here. So a lot of things. So I've done a lot of construction, so it was kind of easy for me. I think it'll be more of a challenge for William, but he'll just be, reporting back to me and going between myself and Beth to just make sure everything gets handled. But Beth won't be here, so I forgot. Sorry, Beth. I'm back on track here. So long story short, yeah, a few hours each day he'll be there. I don't think he needs to sit there for 8 hours straight, judging by what I was seeing last week. I think that'll be enough.
Beth, do you agree with that? Does that seem reasonable to get the job done?
The issue is we never know when contractors are going to come up to us today and say, so what am I supposed to do? And
Yeah.
We don't have those answers, but yeah, they tend to start between 8:30 and 10 and be finishing up between 2 and 3. So I think that will work. What I need is for my staff to say, talk to William, call Mark,
Right.
Right.
And unfortunately, you're not unique at this stage where you've got a project manager now who's unfamiliar with the specifics of the project. He's got a punch list, but he's unfamiliar. So he identifies these items that say, these are the painters. I'll call the painter. The painter gets the punch list. He hands it off to his foreman, who hands it off to somebody else. And they show up at the library and say to the first person they see, what am I supposed to do? And that happens, unfortunately, all the time. So the best thing is just call me and I'll put it back on CTA and say, it's not the library directors or staff's job to direct and coordinate your subcontractors to do the punch list. That's supposed to happen upstream, not downstream.
Yeah,
Question.
it's that on top of, oh my gosh, we just realized this thing doesn't work, and actually the light sensor over here doesn't work, and oh, here's this new furniture ding that we found that we missed when we moved something, and the elevator doesn't work, so someone needs to call them and then explain why it doesn't work and then follow up. Like, that's all I'm doing.
Yeah. Question, in addition to William, I believe is the person that's going to be there. Can we direct CTA that they need to have somebody on site as well in the same capacity? Maybe either balancing out when William is there or not there, or in conjunction with.
I've asked Paul that if somebody's on site, that CTA should be on site as well, whether it's an electrician, a plumber, a painter, whoever, so that there's some oversight by somebody other than library staff or Beth, because that's not their job. So right now, Paul is just calling everybody saying, get to the library. I don't know what's happened in the last 2 months, why this list isn't done, but everybody go. And which is great. He's trying to light a fire, but it's causing a backup, on site.
Right.
So I'll talk to him again and say, you need to have somebody there.
He is giving a heads up, which I really appreciate.
Right,
So-and-so's
right.
coming, and they're coming in the designated hours, they're wearing their masks, but they don't necessarily know what they're doing. And then they're trying to pull me aside to say, tell them I did the work. And I'm like,
Right. That's
I
not
don't
your
even know
job
what you were here
either.
to fix.
Right.
Right, you're here.
And-
Feeling guys came.
Right. And I think William's going to have, limited ability to do any of that. So I'll give him the standard of CTA needs to tell you where you needed to do that work. And William can do that pushback and keep people away kind of from the library staff who have other things to do. Or they could just do what I did, a few times last week, which is say, why don't you walk around and see if you can find it? I'll check on it and get back to you. And then I would just leave and it would work itself out. It always got done. No, I'm kidding. But I did do that once because the guy was annoying me. But beyond that, I think we're right there. And I think a lot of what William will be able to help with, the same things I was able to help with, which is directing custodial, making sure things are getting done, documenting anything that someone comes up to him and says, oh, can you get this doesn't work or whatever, and making sure that all those dots are connected. I think that seems to be what is helpful, having somebody on site to do.
Mark, would it help to do like a daily to-do list, like that somebody's gonna be on site, so then you would check in with William to make sure that he knows what's up for that day, and he could check in and make sure his staff is good and.
Well,
Just-
as Beth mentioned, Paul has been pretty good about saying, hey, the painter's going to be there tomorrow between 11 and 2. And so then I've been after Paul saying, that's great, the painter's going to be there, but can you let me know when he's done, what they did, what they didn't do, and what the schedule is to complete. And that's where it's lacking a little bit. And so, he's taken the first step trying to just clean house and get everybody there. So I can ask for, maybe an end of the day update on what was done, what's left, who's coming. And in the meantime, if William's on site and there's an issue or something comes back to me, then we can address it in real time. But at Wednesday's job meeting, Paul is bringing hopefully an updated punch list, with kind of the master punch list saying, we did have 50 items, now we're down to 20, these are them, and here's the schedule to finish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so maybe then, he can be sure to have William's number, and then maybe
Yep.
somebody to represent the library when you're gone, Beth, just to have them included.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll probably leave a stack of business cards with William's contact info on it, and that way, if because William does have other tasks that I have assigned to him, so if he's not physically in the library and somebody walks in and says, I don't know where I'm supposed to go, hand him the card and go back to their regular thing. And
Yeah.
William can connect those dots with Mark and do all the rest of it, the logistic stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same kind of thing I was doing when I was on site.
Thanks, Evan. Doug?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to clarify. So our current opening date is scheduled for next Wednesday. So if we can get a TCO before then we can keep the opening, and then we'd have a certain period of time before that the COO gets issued.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mark or Evan?
Thank you. I know it's a lot of work.
Almost there.
And I agree with Lisa, but the building inspector.
All right, Ron, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think that pretty much covered it. I'm working with the team to tie up any loose ends and get this finished and get it open. And if anybody has questions or concerns, you can always reach out to me.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Ron while we're all here? Anybody looking for any information? Beth?
The children's librarian expressed a concern to me today that there is not enough shelving physically in the children's room to put away all of the children's materials, even with filling in with what's been back ordered. And we'd like to meet with Corey, possibly Ron, to talk about what else we might need to purchase so we can put away all of the books in the building. There's not enough stacks for the materials,
Okay.
in spite of all the measurements and all the counts that we sent. And we
Okay.
can't, it's a weeded, curated collection already. We can't get rid of anything. So we've got to figure out where the stuff is going to live.
All right.
Wednesday.
How soon would you like a meeting with Corey? I'm being that
Yeah.
you're away at the end of this week-
Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah, only Wednesday is all I have available.
of this week.
Yeah, and then next
Right.
Tuesday, I could do Tuesday.
All right, let me check her availability for Wednesday before you go away.
Okay. It's not
And
gonna,
if not, we'll have to meet next week.
yeah, it's not gonna prevent us from opening, but we do have things on top of shelves that's really not safe.
Right.
For kids reaching up to pull things down,
Yeah.
but it looks like more than half of the nonfiction is still unshelved, and there's not more units coming to house the collection, just a few shelves.
Okay.
So, yeah, we need to talk about it.
All right, I will contact her right
Thank you.
away
Okay,
and copy you on that email.
thank you.
Historic Commission, John, is there anything?
We did meet last week and discussed briefly, Paul Knoyer brought up, asked about the generator, and there's not one. And so he brought it to us in terms of where would it go? And pretty much the only place it can go is near, and I'm probably going to say it wrong, but the old entrance to the children's library. And it seems like there may be a garden, like a children's garden or a teen garden or space. So that's going to have to be coordinated in terms of the height, because of various models that can be used. And we've already had that height issue on the roof. So we want to make sure we get a low profile generator that can be concealed that with evergreen type bushes or plants. And that pretty much the only place that it can go logistically, expense wise. The power comes into the building. I believe it's the north west. I don't know what corner that was. It's kind of the north corner of the building, right across from the Grafton Inn. Just right there's a cement retaining wall or stone retaining wall that goes to the front of the building, and it's almost just right there because that's where the power is going into the building. So that's where it's kind of the choice at this stage where it can go, and we're going to try to work with whomever, because it's still, I guess it's a separate item, and but ultimately HTC will have to approve siting and how everything will finally look.
I'm just wondering, why are we talking about a generator now? I thought it was decided that we weren't going with a generator, and now we need a generator?
That's kind of my question, is that I didn't know that the decision was made not to have one, but I guess because all the town buildings have one, they said we needed to have one. If you have a meeting in the library or people in the library and the power goes out, it's a safety issue that you do need to have a generator. So I think that's a different discussion. Our discussion was basically is where can it go? Where do we want it to go? What is it going to look like when it goes there? And given the fact that all the electrical is done, we can't hide it on the south side of the building. It's got to be there on the north side, nearest to where the electrical goes in. Otherwise, it'll be a much bigger undertaking to get everything connected.
Right, so it's my understanding it's not required by code, because they have battery backup in the building.
Right.
So it's not a requirement to have a generator. It's a nice thing to have.
It's a good thing to have to protect the asset, right? If you had an extended power outage and sub-zero weather, now you get the potential for a whole bunch of damage that could happen. So yeah, I think it's a prudent thing to have, but yeah, it's not a code requirement.
I think also, if I'm not making this up, it's that if we did have a huge power outage in Grafton in the winter, that the meeting rooms could be a warming space for people to go. So this would be an additional location in town for people that needed to find a warm place to stay. That, again, this.
Yeah, you would have to deem that a
Point of refuge.
yeah, so
Yeah.
a whole other beast, and it requires a lot to it. So
Yeah, that puts you in the category of a shelter, which is completely different.
Yeah,
That's what I was going to add. If sometimes you see a gymnasium or cafeteria, it's deemed the town, point of refuge, or if the library was that, then the generator makes sense. But it's if there was after hour a program in the community space and upstairs in the meeting rooms and the power went out, from a life safety standpoint, there wouldn't be an issue as far as people safely leaving the building and having adequate light to do that. And so a generator wouldn't be needed for that. But if it was, to your point, as a warming space or something, even if it's not tagged a point of refuge, but it's not an inexpensive proposition. I mean, physically, that's where it would want to go to limit your exposure to cost, but it's a generator of that size is still it's gonna cost some money.
What started this conversation about the generator? I feel like I missed something.
Well,
I think I missed, there was a discussion that Paul Knoyer, who's DPW, just casually said, where's the generator gonna go? Or where's the generator?
right.
And there's generator. I think that's how it was began.
That's correct.
So are we actually looking at where to put a generator or no?
Well, I think we've identified probably the one and only place it could go. Unfortunately, the design of the teen patio would actually allow for it if we wanted to do that. So it's one of these things. I think it's fine to, I mean, just my opinion. Andy Duchesne, 13 Meadowbrook Road. I think it's a good thing to just investigate. Let's see what size, what unit we would need to get to have it be the right size. Let's see what the cost is and get a quote, just to see what kind of ballpark we're in. Just sort of a feasibility study, if you will. And in the meantime, I mean, the work on the patio is about to start. But that work doesn't really impact whether or not we can do a generator.
And then the other historic district committee piece is the screening and, this, that I don't have an answer to, the status and the cost of that.
That one, we're still waiting for a formal
Pricing.
proposal or a rough order of magnitude from CTA and what that would be. We've got a design from Ron. It went to CTA, and that was right about the time where they had their PMs leave in succession. So now Paul's left with that, and he's trying to chase it down to figure out what it is exactly we're asking him to do. Evan, were you going to say something on the generator?
Yeah, if that's all right. So I think that, so one, you'd have to designate that space as shelter, which the town has not done. So I think that what we should be deciding, and I don't know that this is, necessarily within scope of this building project, is whether or not to add a generator, and if so, what do we want it to do, right? You won't need a generator to run the whole place so that everybody can be in there, and you really, you probably want to protect your asset and keep it warm enough. You gotta be able to run the HVAC system and some lighting, but you don't have to, make the place functional as it is on any other given day. And there are some, there is some potential to use some potentially ARPA money to do that, American Rescue Plan Act, because you're looking at your financials. There's no way you're going to afford that generator within the scope of this project. You're probably, I'm going to guess 100K, maybe plus or minus right around there, because generator's probably 50 grand for a generator plus labor plus pad plus everything else. You're probably close to 100 grand. So I think we'd have to look at other funding sources for that. That was all. Thank you.
Thanks.
And I'm sorry if I didn't mean to imply that this is ongoing, but brought up at historic district, and that's what we discussed in terms of where it would go and how we would conceal it, I guess.
Doug, did you have any other questions?
Well, I think what Evan said was it would be this group that would say yes to the project. Is that true? Like, who would decide that we should do this?
I think, in my opinion, that goes beyond the scope really of what this group is talking about. You have to determine whether the town, probably via the select board, select board. I constantly say it backwards, and now when I say it right, I correct myself again. because my former town was different. But so I think the select board would have to decide whether they wanted this to be a place where people were going to go, even though it really wasn't designed with that in mind. It could certainly serve that function in a pinch. We've seen that happen, especially during the pandemic throughout the United States. But I think it's a broader conversation, right? Is that part of something you're going to add into your emergency plan? And if not, do we feel that we need to just simply protect the asset? And in order to do that, what does that look like? You know, I don't know. I think it's something that this group could decide to make a recommendation to the select board. But I don't know that, given the state of the project and your current funding level, that it's something that you can achieve without going after other monies. So I think engaging that through the select board level is probably the way to go, and then we can get that executed if that's where everybody decides to go.
Okay. Great. Handicap accessibility, we kind of talked about that already. The adult large print room, the clock, are we any further on that, or we're just waiting for?
Oh, I talked to Brad Schlapak on Friday, and he went, I guess, with Beth, and they found out above that doorway there's a beam, a steel beam, so it does not lend it to easily installing the mechanism. And they talked about moving it over a little bit, and the donor said that's not what she was interested in. So the current plan is to put it over there's some study rooms, I believe, on the north side. And so that's the plan right now, is to investigate, is it feasible to put it there? Is there access up above to do that, to install the clock? So,
And he's coming, we arranged, he's coming Wednesday morning to meet with us so that we can review with the construction committee on the placement of the clock, to see if it's physically possible where John was talking about. So hopefully after Wednesday, we'll have that resolved.
Okay. Grand reopening, is that that's just pushed off? We don't have a date, right?
No, we don't have a date, and that lends me to my kind of a segue, new business type thing with the date with respect to the plaque. We had a plaque that was scheduled, formatted, reviewed by this committee, approved by this committee, but the date on it was October 1st. And so we know we're not going to hit that date for the opening. So then the question was, what date should it be? And then do we wait until the open, if we put it November 15th, do we wait till November 15th to open the library? Or do we not put any date and just put 2021, which is typical for a lot of plaques. So it's just dedicated this year, 2021. Or do we cancel it outright and say, CTA, give us a credit for the plaque. And once we have a hard date that everybody's comfortable with, you might have a soft opening, and then the dedication ceremony, you know it's a fixed date in the future, and that's the date you want the plaque to read. If that was the course this committee wanted to take, then I would say to CTA, let's just get a credit for the plaque, and you'd pursue it internally. But right now we've got a plaque, it's all queued up. CTA is looking to us to give them a date, and we don't know what that date's going to be. So either we modify it with a date in the future, or just a year, or we cancel it outright. So this came up at the job meeting, and I wanted to bring it in front of the committee to get your input.
So anybody have any thoughts about that? Yeah.
A year's fine, just a year, not the specific date.
Evan's hand was up first.
Yes, but I'm not a voting member of the committee, so I think Mary's going by everybody else first, then me.
Okay,
So
so
see Beth and didn't look over to the left. Go ahead.
so my suggestion would be to pick a date far enough out that it seems reasonable to get everything, counters, punch list, all done, and just put a date I'm very literal. I want the date on the plaque to be the actual date of the ribbon cutting and dedication, not the opening date. It makes sense to have it open, to have a soft opening, to work out kinks, to finish punch list. And I propose just putting December 31st, 2021 and having an 11 a.m. Friday morning event with a New Year's Eve party to follow.
So I would make the recommendation, we just do fall 2021 without an exact date. That, I think that's good, or even just 2021. But, because I'm pretty literal too with the dates, but I don't want to have a plaque hold up the opening of a library that we've been very anxiously awaiting to open.
It's open. We're open. Like,
Yeah, I'm partial to October 2021, because we are open. And it's at the time that everybody's going to remember. So I would vote for October 2021.
I agree with that as well.
Any other thoughts? Doug, you've been quiet.
No, I mean, it would be great if it had an actual date, but I think October 2021 is doable.
I like month and year.
Yeah, certainly better than just the year.
Yeah, okay.
Do we need a motion?
I'd be too
Can I-
worried that if you took it off CTA, now we've got to arrange
Me
that
too.
and all
Right.
that stuff. So I just assume keep it with CTA.
They own it. You've already paid for it. If you get a credit, you're not going to get 100% credit. They've got the sign and, fabricator and installer, everything's kind of queued up. So I would advocate to move forward. I think honestly, if it came off, you're going to end up spending that money on whether a piece of equipment or something, and then all of a sudden you're going to not be able to afford a plaque, and you're never going to get one, or it's not going to look the way you want it to look, and so forth.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
Can I jump in just with one thing before you start voting?
Of course.
Thank you. I realize I don't have a vote, but I always have an opinion. I would recommend you go with just the year. And my reasoning for that is that will match the plaque that is in the front vestibule in the original building, which only has a year on it.
I move that the sign read 2021.
second,
Oh, a roll call. Beth?
Are you sure about that date in the front, Evan? I know I took a
Yeah.
picture of it. I thought it mentioned a date. No, it didn't.
No, we
Oh,
looked
okay.
at it last week.
Just a year, not a day
okay.
and month.
yeah, in that case, aye.
Lisa?
Can you pass me? I really like October 2021.
Julie?
It should say year from hell 2021.
Yeah.
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Maureen?
Convince me, Evan. Aye.
Jared, yes, hesitantly, aye.
We could put like a piece of tape going across it at an angle and just like write October.
Yeah,
Grand opening October.
okay, that motion's carried. Of
Sorry, Mary, can I say one more thing?
course, yeah.
Again, you're gonna regret this. So having me come to these, one thing that I had done in our building opening in Munson that I think satisfies a couple of things is that we had it installed and then we covered it, and we didn't uncover it until the dedication date, so that you could have your little pomp and circumstance. But it didn't get held up waiting for that date.
That's
all.
kind of nice too, I like that.
Thank you.
All right, does anybody have anything else?
Move to adjourn.
No?
Well, sorry, we got to talk, hold on, John, hold it for 1 second. So our next meeting is November 1st at 6. We wrote possibly in person at the library. And then will we need a December one as well? Do we want to get that on the books? December 6th?
We will put that, yeah.
And do you think that we'll have a meeting room and or the big meeting room available, Beth, at that point? Or we're relying on the building inspector to release or grant us occupancy?
Yeah, so long as he says yes, then I will book the room and we can meet here.
Okay.
So John,
So-
you'll check in with Beth and let us know. Okay.
So will it be strictly in person or will it be hybrid with Zoom and in person, Beth?
It's not a problem to set up Zoom.
Okay,
Yeah, we can do hybrid. Keep
Okay.
the same link.
great. Okay,
Yeah, because not everybody might feel comfortable too, so.
right. Well, I just for posting that I'm not excluding an important part.
Right, yeah, let's try it.
Okay,
Okay. It is 7:33. I vote we adjourn.
move to adjourn.
Yeah, I second.
Okay. Beth,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Aye.
Dawn,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
Mary. Aye. Thank you, everybody.